Hey everyone, welcome back to the Red Path. It's Dara here again today. Got Jamie with me, and we're talking top 5 units in the new Chaos Space Marine Codex.
Oh
Let's get
boy.
into it. Okay, so Jamie, it's an interesting one. It's a topical video. Lots of people love
Yeah.
this top 5 content, and we said we get on the train. So before we get into our choices and everything like that, we actually we did a top 5 somewhat recently. Well, you did
Yeah,
anyway.
yeah.
It was February of this year, and let me just hit you with the top 5 that you had at the time, because how things have changed.
Yeah.
So coming in at number 5 was the humble Rhino. Then number 4 we had the Chosen. Number 3 we had Khorne Berserkers. Number 2 we had the Khorne Lord of Skulls, and number 1 we had Warp Talons. So
Whew.
obviously those are all like the meat and potatoes of a lot of our armies back in the before times, which is what we're
Mm-hmm.
going to call it now. You know, the land before Codex. And yeah, I mean, I would say that plenty of those units were a pretty good staple for a lot of us. You know, I was certainly running a lot of Warp
Yeah.
Talons, lots of Berserkers, all that good stuff. You were a big proponent of the Lord of Skulls for a while,
For a
and
while, yeah.
yeah. Now we have this. I got it right here. This fantastic new, this Tome of
Ooh,
Power,
so jealous. So jealous.
and how things have changed. So Jamie, how are you doing, man? How are you feeling right now? How's the vibe
Dude,
with the?
it's I've like just been riding this wave of hype, man. Ever since well, the whole time we've been getting the leaks and everything, it's just like every day it gets better and better. And then I've had a couple of games now with the new codex. Won one, lost one, but absolutely fine with that because just the raw power available to us. Like, okay, I guess it's maybe not so much the power; it's the ability to survive. I've just, like a month ago, 2 months ago, when you were playing, you knew you had to score early, even though the World Eaters list typically weren't really equipped to do so because of like just being obliterated by small arms fire. But you had to score early because you wouldn't have an army typically in round 4 or round 5. Now, whether I've won or lost, I have, a solid amount of units on the table. Whether it's a couple of berserkers on one wound and one on 2 wounds or whatever, or my Disco Lord hanging on, or what have you, I've got an army that survives, and adapting to that is exciting because I've got to learn how to play again in a way. It's really cool. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a change up of playstyles, in my opinion. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, we have to kind of get past that concept that we need to hit hard and hit fast because we're going to drop off hard. I don't really think that's the case anymore, especially with the types of durable units that we actually have the availability to build now. Not that
Mm-hmm.
you have to build towards them, which is something I really enjoy as well, is the
Yeah.
flexibility of this book to build an army that suits you. Like, I know, having talked to some of the team, some people in Discord, to yourself, Everett's coming up with really different lists, and it's really interesting. Like, I myself have come up with like 3 completely different lists in terms of the themes and stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm equally interested to try all of those, but they'll all play slightly differently, and I'm like, you know what, this is a pretty good vibe. But yeah, it's just really cool. You know, like you, I'm riding the hype. I've got a lot of excitement going for the hobby at the minute. I'm really sitting down and painting and getting, really eager to get some of this new stuff on the table.
Yeah.
Hopefully, the possessed they're gonna go up for order soon, like any day right now.
Hope so. Please.
Yeah, come on, But yeah, it's great. Like, it's an awesome time. But what we're here to talk about today is our reevaluation of the top 5 for the world leaders.
Yeah.
So it's a big reevaluation, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like I said, so much has changed, so much we have to reconsider. And I think probably how we'll do it today is maybe we'll work from the bottom up to the
Yeah.
top. We can do each of our 5, then our 4, work through it. And I think it's going to be awesome because this is probably one of the first top 5s that we might actually have major differences of opinion.
Quite possibly, yeah.
Because what's good to you may not be good to me,
Mm-hmm.
or like I can see what's good like that one of your choices might be very good, but I might just be like, hey, that doesn't suit me,
Yep.
This other thing is going to be good for me. And I think don't take what we say as gospel, everyone,
No, absolutely not. Yeah.
make your own top five, but this is what jumps out at us.
Yeah.
What we're thinking is pretty hot.
And I
So
do want
yeah,
to, I want to just
yeah.
like say something there because it is important that we reiterate what you just said. We are coming at this with. I've just had 2 games. We're fresh in on just looking at the rules. There's very limited practical experience here. We're still in our kind of headspace of our old rules and how we're transitioning to how the new playstyle works. So our top fives, I'm going to guess, I know mine is, and I'm sure yours is, Dara. It's a lot of theory based. It's how we want them to work, which obviously doesn't always translate to the real world. But this is our kind of, in my opinion, this is what we're looking at as strong units to start testing. And then if they don't quite work out for you or for us or whatever, because again, this is just our thoughts. We're not saying this is a definitive top five. If they don't work out, then you try something else, because I'll guarantee you when we do another top five in say 3 or 4 months, at least half of these units probably won't be on there. I'd almost guarantee it, quite frankly.
Yeah, 100%. Like, it's very theoretical. Like you said, I haven't gotten a game in yet. I'm only looking through the rules. I'm building lists. I'm thinking, I'm scheming and brainstorming. I'm not sure exactly how it's all going to translate on the table against a variety of different opponents. That's something that I can't really consider until I properly put my toys down and say, all right, let's throw some dice. And I'm excited to try that. But like you said, this is very much like a surface level. Okay, I've seen this unit. It seems quite strong. This is what I'm going to be trying out first. And I think everything in my top five, and probably the same for you, are things that I'm hot on right now. And I'm like, you know what, these are going to be in all my first lists, and we're
Yeah.
going to go from there. Yeah.
Yeah. All
Okay.
right.
And we'll have some honorable mentions as well, right?
Yeah, I think we have
Yeah,
to.
of course. Yeah.
I'm
So do you want to start with the honorable mentions, or do you want to leave those for the end?
Let's do the honourables at the end, I think, because let's
Okay.
see, we're not entirely sure what we've each brung as our top five. But look, I'm
Right.
going to
Right.
kick us off with the
Do.
number five, okay? My number five. This is the only one I've got which carries over from from my last top five. And this is the Chosen, okay? I think the Chosen are very good. I think they're a very tactical choice. I think they don't rely on the kind of blunt or brute force aggression of something like Red Butchers or Berserkers, even though they're incredibly good in combat. And they don't quite hit the toughness values of some of our T5 choices and stuff like that. But sitting at 3 wounds, T4, really nice combat weapons. Like they go to, with the Mark of Khorne, they're at strength 6 because the accursed weapons are +1 as well. They're -3 with -4 with the icon, I believe. Yeah, I think it goes to -4.
Yep.
So they're just shredding things. Anything without an invul, they will go through. You still have access to a lot of stratagems. Having core and infantry, they benefit from practically everything that we can throw on them. That's relevant anyway. So I just think they're a great unit, and they do have, even though it's only bolt guns, if you whittle a enemy T3 squad down to 2 or 3 models, you want to do that in your head, because you use those Chosen to fire off on them with their bolt guns and kill them, so they're just immediately in every doctrine or every wanton phase for the rest of the game, which is powerful. Even though rapid fire is not the best for exploding sixes, it can crop up. You still have a grenade in there, a crack grenade for a heavy option, and having access to wanton slaughter for every phase is superb, because otherwise you're kind of locked in to holding back a little bit with your infantry trade units, just to wait to rounds 3 through 5. I really like them. I know flamer builds are quite popular at the moment. I've tested them with just, as cheap as I could get them at, I think 145 for a squad of 5. But yeah, I think they've got a lot of utility, but they do compete very well, or they are in a very competitive role with some other units, which I'm sure we're both going to bring up. So that's my number 5, mate. What you got sitting there?
Yeah. Oh, I just to touch on that, I think it's so interesting because it really, the key point I think that you made for the Chosen is the accessibility for buffs to be placed on them. There's almost nothing that we have access to that can't be put on
Yeah.
them, and that's really powerful.
Yeah.
I think like if you consider them with Stoke the Nails going up to strength 7,
Mm-hmm.
those guys can go through vehicles
Mm-hmm.
very very easily because vehicles typically don't have an invuln
Yep.
most of the time. So if you send a squad of them in, they got what, 3 attacks each,
Yeah.
4 in the charge,
Five in the
5 with
charge.
world with the a curse weapon.
Yep.
Man, that's a lot of attacks. They're going to put something down
You
real
can
easy.
give
I
them
actually,
+1 to hit as well because
yeah,
of the
and
chosen.
you can give them auto hitting on sixes
Yeah. Yep.
with
Or
the
auto
Fury of
wounds.
Corner.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, auto wounding on sixes even. Yeah, like there's so many options. They're a real toolbox unit to
Mm-hmm.
me. I actually have them in my current list. I've got a squad of 6, I think I want to say,
Okay.
because
That's
just because of points.
yeah.
Yeah, but Marcus Lanesh, woohoo! But yeah, so they're really really cool options. So for me, the number 5 choice is actually going to be the Demon Prince.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, so it's an interesting one because I
Mm-hmm.
don't think the Demon Prince themselves got a massive glow up in their
Yeah.
data sheet. Some things have changed, like the fact that the Khorne Prince now gets an extra strength and attack is still pretty stupid and lame,
Yeah.
considering the psychic potential is so much greater. But
Yeah.
look, at least it's slight uptick.
Yeah.
But apart from that, their weapons got better. Overall, slight changes,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, they're fine. That's not really the point. The point is that the accumulation of buffs, like your
Mm-hmm.
Mark of Khorne, certain stratagems,
Mm-hmm.
all the relics, all the warlord traits you can put on these guys. Like if you want to talk to someone about a Demon Prince, you want to talk to Jack from the team because
Yeah.
damn, that guy is hype on the Demon Prince and he's got some scary builds going out in the wild.
Yeah.
I really think the Demon Prince can become a unit in your army that has so much utility and is able to fill roles that your infantry units might struggle with, such as taking out vehicles or hunting down a character or being in the right place at the right time to contest something important.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels like a very reliable unit, I would say.
Yeah.
So I think the Demon Prince for me is my number 5 choice.
Okay. Yeah, I absolutely respect that. Absolutely agree 100%. It's a subtle glow up, but it's the access to things that we can throw on the prince to make them just absurd, like very very strong. So okay, my number 4. I'm kind of cheating here, mate. I'm sorry. It's like rules to me are just optional things. I don't care about them.
Okay.
Like no, yeah, I know this is 6-inch move, but I like 18 inches is close enough, right? It's a multi. No. So, all right, my number 4 choice is bikers, but also possessed. Okay, because I couldn't decide which one, and we've talked about this plenty. I can't really choose between the two as the perfect 3-wound T5 model. I know there's.
You know what, Jamie? I'm going to stop you right there because I know your brain is saying possessed, and I know for a fact your heart is saying bikers. I think you just need to double down on it, man. You just need to make the biker dream happening. Everyone out here, falling to the Neverborn, you need to get on your Harley Davidson. You need to rev that shit up and just fucking ride into the LVO and take it with them.
So I tried them last night with 2 squads of 3, and it's just little cheeky trade pieces, right? Just riding up, touching an objective, being there to piss my opponent off, basically, and they did fine. For I think they come out 110 points for 3 because you take the mark and the icon. They're one of our cheaper kind of MSU options, and they're 9 wounds T5. You can make a -1 to hit at range. They go up, they sit on an objective, they do what an MSU is supposed to do. But again, they have utility, and once you sort of get close to that 5, 6, up to 9 models, you're looking at, okay, is this where my Black Rune is going?
I was about to say, yeah.
Because that's exactly why I've got this problem with Possessed or Bikers. Possessed obviously gain access to being breachable, they can frenzy, so they're much more of a turn 1 threat with like 18 inches of movement compared to just the 14 of Bikers. So there's choices to be made there. I've tried Possessed once and I've tried MSU Bikers once. My next list has got, I think I'm at 6 Bikers considering going to a squad of 9 with the Black Rune and stuff like that. I love this T5 3-wound sort of like problem we've got.
Chassis.
I love
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
so good because of the illusory supplication, because of benediction to darkness, which does work on bikers. Um, Everyone, just want to clarify that because light cover is just a rule. It's area, terrain, or obstacles which apply it to infantry, beast, and swarm. So you can give light cover to anything, technically, if the thing given it allows it. So you can use benediction of darkness to give bikers or the disco lord or whatever light cover. So getting access to a 2-up save because they don't have an invuln, and then giving them trans to hit, or you don't even need to do that because you can just use the -1 thing if you advance them. I do like bikers, but possessed as basically our only real 2 damage option on outside of a character, I think is very useful to have because I worry about spamming them, and the reason I'm going away from like a big squad of 10, because if you run into Death Guard, you run into Dreadnought spam, they instantly almost halved in value just because they're only -2, they don't have an icon. There's a lot of problems, and they are to both units, which is why I can't choose. So yes, my number 4 is bikers or possessed, and I don't care that that's cheating. Fight me.
Fair. I mean, I told you, man, I think you should live the biker dream. I really respect the unit's data sheet, and I have zero respect for the models
Yeah.
that represent the unit, but
Yep.
we've been there.
Yep.
Number 4 for me is the Raptors. This is the one I'm doubling down hard on. Everyone's saying no. I'm saying yes. I'm going to prove you all wrong. I think the Raptors are fantastic value. As a replacement for the Warp Talons in my mind, because the Warp Talons for me are just too expensive for what they do now.
Yeah.
They have a nice little gimmick where you can't fall back. That works half the time, less than half the time, actually, because your opponent only has equal your roll.
No, the core rules allow you, if there's a roll off and it's the same, you re-roll.
Oh, okay, right,
Yeah,
right,
so,
right.
yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, it
Okay.
is still basically 50%. So
Yeah. So it's a rule you can never rely on, much
Yeah.
like Scorn or Sorcery, and you're paying points for that rule. That's an ability that's baked into your data sheet. They're Demonkin, so no buffs going on those guys.
yeah,
And I just don't value
for
them
world
anymore.
eaters, for world
Yeah,
eaters,
for
no
world
buffs,
eaters,
yeah.
right? Yeah, but that's what we're top fiving
Yeah.
right now, you know. So I think you take your Raptors, which are coming in at a much cheaper price and being markable, being core. They have a wealth of buffable options that can go on them. They can take advantage of the Dark Apostle, of stratagems, of just even the Mark of Khorne giving them +1 strength, which I think is really, really nice on them, pushing them to strength 5. I see them as being like the perfect screen cleaner for your turn 1 Apoplectic Frenzy move, and that's probably what I'm going to be using them for. I'm thinking a lot about running 8 because I think you have a lot of flexibility in what you do with them in the first turn in terms of you can string them back a little bit on their apoplectic move and get a priest to give them the transhuman to hit prayer, which makes them quite annoying to shift in the first turn. You can launch them into combat, pop stoke the nails in them so they're getting their wanton slaughter, they're hitting you in strength 6. Like I could talk about all the options for days. One that really stands out to me is the auto wounding on 6s to hit, because they're going to proc, if you've got stoke on, they're going to proc an extra hit and give you a wound automatically. I can see those guys blending for sure, and they feel cheap. You know, they feel really, really cheap to me, and I don't really care if I lose them very fast. But the thing is, I won't lose them very fast because they've got 2 wounds. They might have a prayer on them. They might have something else. Like you can, alternatively, you don't have to fire them forward. You can position around with them. You can use the reactive -1 to hit for if they've advanced. Like they have. Again, it's much like the other units that we talked about, where they can draw on such a wide variety of buffs. They can be really flexible. They are a very reactive unit, and I like to play reactively, so it suits me. So I think for me, yeah, the Raptors are going to take the number 4 spot.
Okay. All right, yeah, I dig it, and I'll be honest. The list I'm working on right now has almost exactly the points left for 8 Raptors, and it's something I'm looking at just because your argument has swayed me, and I agree in the comparison to Warp Talons. 100%. I'm sure there's some people out there, someone like Mark who loves his Warp Talons, and all respect for doing it, because I was down on Warp Talons until it was shown to me how absolutely mental they were. So maybe
for the record, I don't think Warp Talons are bad.
Yeah.
In my list, I want to include units that I can apply as much reactive buffs to as possible.
Yeah.
And warp talents I can apply almost no reactive buffs to
Yeah.
or reactive stratagems. And that for me is like something that I'm not interested in. I can see how they're really good. I think the play, if you're going to use warp talents, is 5-man units. I think those have a lot of play to maximize your chance of no falling back and that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
But I'm just not about that life right now. You know,
Yeah.
my demonkin are going to be my possessed, and that's just where it is right
I
now.
gotcha.
So
I gotcha.
yeah, for sure, Talon's still good, but for me, Raptors are taking that spot right now.
I 100% hear you, man. All right, so coming in at number 3 for me, we have the Red Butchers. Red Butchers specifically. Now, I do think regular Chaos Terminators are absolutely fine. I think I believe Terminators are basically very good in every legion at the moment. There may be some legions which want to focus more on Possessed, for example. But I think for us, the Red Butcher's stratagem, even though it's exactly the same, minus some word changes, but it is exactly the same in practice, is more valuable now because the Red Butchers themselves actually hit a little bit harder. I know they've lost Lightning Claws, but in my experience, just having the... because now they're 3 base plus 2 for the Accursed and World Eaters. So they're still hitting at 51 on the first activation, but also 51 on the second activation, assuming no casualties. And they're typically going to be wounded on 3s, 2s in some situations, 4s in some situations. All of those are fine. I'm happy to smack vehicles on 4s with 51 attacks, my god. But they're a great unit, the auto wounding, you know, especially if you're going into vehicles, you want to auto wound 51 attacks because, you know, you're getting quite a few, you know, 8 or so 6s there.
Well, I would just say like the perfect point for that is like I remember I was talking to Mark, I think, recently about like how to deal with knights.
Mm-hmm.
And the way you deal with knights is you charge a squad of red butchers in and you pop auto wounding on them.
Yep.
And if you really want to make sure of it, you pop Wild Fury.
Yep.
And then every 6 just is a wound straight up, you know.
Yep.
And like you said, 51 attacks, that knight's going down.
Yeah.
100%.
And yeah, I just think the 2 CP spent, whilst it is very prohibitive right now with our, you know, overall CP reduction, the value as one of only 2 units we can run, or I mean 3 units technically, but we're getting the movement jank, we're getting the extra consolidate and the extra pile in and consolidate depending on what the battlefield looks like. That was a key part of World Eater's strengths previously. Losing it on Berserkers, I'm not here to be salty about that because I'm okay with Berserkers. But it is such a nice thing to keep in your pocket. It's so nice to have 10 chunky boys who are going to charge, wipe out most likely what they charge, and then just move up to another 9 inches, or you know even more with the stratagem for the
what's that called?
Yeah, I can't.
It's the 6-inch consolidate strat. That's what it's always been to me.
Yeah.
Kill May Burn.
Kill
I think.
May Burn. Yeah. So you've still got that jank, and being able, you know, if your opponent, if you're playing Harlequins, right, and you're going second, they're like, oh, I'll just throw a cheeky 5-man troop unit up into the mid board. I don't care. Like, all right, I'll send my 10 red butchers in there because
I'll make you care.
Yeah, I'll make it because okay, I lift up 100 points of your army, but now my 10 red butchers with a CP here and a prayer, I'll put trans to hit on them and play you at your own game. They're now in your lines, and that board control you were banking on, you've got to dedicate some shit because your heavy weapons aren't just going to rinse them anymore. Your troops are going to be not quite as effective anymore. And I'm getting, you've got to deal with them because the 6s in combat will now rip and tear you Harlequins. You're not getting protection against that. So little things like that. Anyone who gives you that island to leapfrog through, they're throwing the game half the time if you've got 10 red butchers there. So I just think they're incredibly powerful. They make use of one of our favourite kind of mechanics, the double move. They're so much more resilient. They can take a hell of a lot of buffs. They're just great. They are expensive, but man, I can't see not using 10 of them for the foreseeable future. So yeah, that's my number 3, man.
Yeah, I totally get it. I mean, it's actually quite funny because literally a couple of hours ago, I was just, browsing through Reddit or whatever, and I saw a question pop up in Warhammer Competitive, and it was, "How are you going to deal with Chaos Terminators?" And I was like, "Oh, cool. I want to see what people are teching for, right?"
Hmm.
Almost every single response was, "Feed them a unit somewhere far away to make sure that they'll be out of the game." And I was like, please do
Please.
it.
Oh
Please give
god.
me that unit
Yeah.
because you're just giving me a slingshot.
Yeah.
You're like they don't realize. People are like, "Oh, I'll put something here and then I won't have to worry about these guys." I'm like, "You've actually done the exact thing I wanted you to do."
Yeah.
Like, I have now got all the movement I need to go where I want because,
Yeah.
like, yeah, sure, if you don't send that unit there, it's probably going to take me 2 or 3 turns to get those like 10 to 15-inch movements. But if you're giving me the charge option, I'm gonna be there way sooner because I'm getting a 9-inch move after I take that squad
Yeah.
out. There, people just aren't ready for that. Like, everyone was saying they're slow, they're easy to control. Put them in an area, and I'm like, "Yep, sure, cool. Keep saying that. Keep saying that. No
Please do.
problem.
Yeah.
I am so fine with everyone thinking that." And like, no one mentioned Red Butchers at all. So I'm like, it's like we are flying so low under the radar
Oh,
right
it's
now.
beautiful,
So,
man.
so low. All the posts are talking about every other Legion but ours. Like, everyone's out there ragging on us, saying that we're bad. Man, I'm so ready to prove people
Yes.
wrong. But yeah, I think, man, like, Red Butchers are fantastic. I actually have them as my number two choice in my top five, so we can
Oh,
skip over that one for me but like you, I just think there's like they go into everything
yeah.
so well. They can be so durable. If you want to put the black rune on them, you
Hmm.
can. You can give them transhuman to hit. You can give them a light cover if they're near another apostle. Like, there's
Yeah.
so much you can do. Again, all the stratagems work in them. They're phenomenal,
Hmm.
and there's a lot to be said for putting flamers on them now, I would say.
Yep. There is. I think Flamers is the way to go. My issue is I get so confused. Like you play on TTS quite a bit, and trying to find which model's got the flamer, like zooming in and position. It's a pain in the ass. It adds too much time to my game. So you know what?
Yeah.
I'm going back to just bolters, but that's a personal preference. I think the competitive choice is Maxim Flamers, but
I mean, just bolters gives you the option for demon shell as well in certain
yes.
matchup. Like, you pop demon shell against marines, yeah, sure, it does nothing. You pop demon shell into a squad of Dara Avengers or Guardians, they're folding,
Hmm.
100%.
And I'll still
100%.
Overwatch against most things with 40 bolter shots. I'm
Yeah,
happy to do it. If you're just trying to tag me with your, Harlequins or something like that, your T3 models, I'm overwatching 100% with bolt guns. So,
absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah,
All right, so
yeah,
what,
fantastic
what,
unit.
what is your number three then?
My number three is your favorite of mine, the Dark Apostle. Oh, he
Ooh.
has got such a glow up. I mean, we've talked about him a little bit in other videos, but damn, this guy has power. So much power that I'm bringing two, and I'm going to bring two for probably the entire time that we have this codex because I just
Yep.
think they're so good. Yeah, so the Apostle for me, like, I've spoken a little bit about reactive buffs, about applying abilities to units that I already think are good. And this guy is it for me because he has all of his prayers, I think, are worth considering. Even the ones that people have completely glossed over, like pick an enemy unit and beat their leadership, and you can make them fight last. Like,
Yeah.
that's crazy good. Or stop an action, or can't Overwatch.
Hmm.
Even the Khorne based prayer, pop someone in all wanton acts or whatever for a full turn.
Yeah.
That's really good. So I think the flexibility that they bring to the table is crazy. Like, they have this range of buffs that you can tailor around the army that you've built. So for me, it's the transhuman to hit prayer because it's just so good and no rerolls.
Hmm.
Slapping that on a unit of Terminators while I have the Black Rune on a unit of Possessed means that I'm giving you no good targets
Yeah.
there. Alternatively, if you want to double down on a unit, like if you have a unit of Terminators with the Black Rune and that prayer, and if you want to go all out and you have a second Apostle and you cast Benediction of Darkness so they have a 1+ armor save, that unit is never dying. Like,
No.
it is never ever dying. And I even love the idea of putting the Black Mace on an Apostle
Hmm.
and having him in the. Maybe he's the guy who's casting the light cover every turn. You've got him
Yep.
inside the Terminator unit, and they just open the pit up, and he just comes flying out once he makes it there with the Black Mace, and he starts taking heads.
Yep.
Because he will. He totally will with the Black Mace. I love that Dark Apostles can now be combat beasts. Like, really, really scary.
Yep.
There's so many cool relics you can pop on them.
Yep.
it's just fantastic. There's so much to do with this unit now. Like I look through the prayers and I'm like, man, I want all of them.
Yeah,
And I'm glad I can't have all of them
yeah,
because then it would be too much. But yeah, like even his raw data sheet, lots of attacks, more
yes.
wounds,
Thank God. Yeah,
more wounds is so crucial because
yep,
damn, he used to die so easy.
yep.
Everything about this guy is amazing, in my
Mm-hmm.
opinion. He's so well costed as well. Rocking in at 95 with the Mark of Khorne,
Yep.
no problem. I will take that every day of the week. So yeah, easy number three for me is the Dark Apostle.
Yep. Yeah. You're going to see shortly how much I agree with you. So I'll just go on to my number two, which is the Disco Lord,
Oh yeah.
Senor
Okay.
Disco.
Senor
Oh
Disco.
my God, this. Oh, okay. So I'm doing another video. Depending on editing here, I may have already dropped the other video on this. I'm not sure. The Disco Lord. Okay, took ultimately what could be considered a pure side grade from previous rules because, drop wounds but gained lookout sir or access to it. Um, Overall damage output's like kind of not as good, but also is as good. It's like weird, and then like his abilities have changed. Um, it's a very drastic change that's also subtle. So it's hard to really define if he's so much better or so much worse. I think he is better, and the reason for that is once again what we can stack on them, what relics, warlord traits, etc. And I'm not going to go into depth here because, number one, if you want to know, watch the other video. Number two, if you can't be bothered to do that, join the Discord because it's been gone over in absolute crazy depth in the Discord. How to make the most absurdly obnoxious, unkillable character we can, and I'm pretty sure it's the Disco Lord. It's Senor Disco is just an absolute beast, and the game I played last night against Don, he just ignored him because I played him twice. The first time, it was the first day of the rules, and he just was slamming him and just didn't kill him. He's like, how does this guy not die? Like, combat plague marines just punching him is like, LOL.
I don't care. I don't care.
Like, just the absurdity. So this game, I played him to try and lure plague marines away, and Don's like, just ignore him. Don't care. Like, there's no point. And it really feels like that. Obviously, some armies, especially more psychic based armies, will be able to do damage. But my God, he is so cheeky, and I love it. Like, and I know the argument. In a specific argument with him versus the Demon Prince, it's access to fly for the Prince, no breachable on the Disco Lord. I think that just comes down to you've got to decide what you're going to use the Disco for, as a psychological thing for your opponent. I'll happily commit the Disco alone on one flank. Maybe a unit of cultists for an actual objective or something. But the Disco, I'm no problem against a lot of armies. Just sending him down there, making them commit more than 200 points to try and stop him or kill him. Excuse me. Once that happens, because now there's general sort of more point balancing for our army, if my opponent is committing 200 points, I'll guarantee you there's not 200 points in the game that can kill a Disco Lord at the moment. So you're looking to kill. I think you need about 700 points to actually kill him in one round. Is the best I've found so far, outside of psychic powers. So I think played correctly, the Disco Lord is just ruining your opponent's day, and it does take a smart opponent to say, yeah, I don't even care. He can sit on a primary and score you some points. I'm just not even touching him. So yeah, that's my number two.
I think it's very fair. Yeah, I mean, why bring one when you can bring three? Is what I would say.
Well, I think you bring two because you do want at least one prayer going on one of them.
Yeah, 100%,
Yeah,
100%.
unless you're absolutely can do some incredible mathematics and bring two detachments and still get the relics and stuff you need. I don't think it's quite possible, but
If you go two patrols instead of a battalion and a patrol,
yeah,
could be one way of doing it.
possible.
I'm not sure if I care enough to build a triple disco
don't. I
build.
think one is fine. One just
Yeah.
souped up to infinity is just
I
so
mean,
obnoxious.
it's all psyops, right? You know,
Yeah,
he's there, he's in your opponent's head, he's rent free for the whole game, and he's
yep,
doing work. I love him. He's another really good unit. Again,
yep.
I think my problem with the Disco Lord is genuinely I just played them too much in Ace. Like I ran the
Okay.
triple Disco list for like 8 months, and I was just like,
Oh,
ah,
okay.
I'm actually just like bored of this guy
I only
now,
owned
you
one.
know?
Got my first. I only owned one, and only got him like 6 months ago. So I've only played probably a dozen games with him. So for me, I'm okay with it. So
Yeah, like he's my favorite model in the entire Chaos Space Marine range.
yeah,
I remember
beautiful.
I was in the Warhammer store when that guy dropped, and like the manager was like, "You need to come over here and look what just came out of our community." And both of us were just looking at the screen, being like, "Oh my god!"
Hmm.
It like I was genuinely like, "Is this a real model?" Because
Yeah,
this is too cool to be
yeah.
real, and he is so cool. I
Hmm.
probably will bring him back for a little bit. I want to run one with like twin blood soldiers and a brass scorpion at some point, but
Yeah,
that is a whole other thing.
yeah.
But yeah, he's I respect him so much, dude, and I respect the builds you can do with him. My number two was the Red Butchers as
Yeah.
well, so we don't need to do that one again because you've already said everything I would say about them.
Okay.
Fantastic unit, rate them super super high. They're not for me. They don't compete with the possessed. They work alongside them,
Okay.
and that is the key thing for me. That they work in conjunction and not against each other.
Right. Okay. All right. Shall I? I think I'll do my number one. Okay. I
Sure,
know that
yeah,
gives me
sure,
back
sure.
to backs, but because my number one is the Apostle, and you've already covered it, so I'm still not 100% sure what your number one is. I think I know, but not 100%. So
You
the
probably do.
Apostle, just going on everything you've already said, mate. So I'll keep this short. Basically, the Apostle turns up or turns our army up to number 11. Just every prayer is good. There's a couple of stratagems and relics we can do for the Apostle to just squeeze a little bit more out. There's some jank we can do. A lot of good synergies, especially on our infantry. But the Noctilith Crown, for me, is definitely something people should be considering. Look, I tested it, man. It works great.
That stupid, stupid thing. I hate it. I hate that everyone's pushing the Noctilite crown. I'm like,
No,
get it out of my life. No, get
okay.
it away. It's like
Listen.
the new Khorne Lord of Skulls in my mind.
Anyway, so I think the Apostle is absolutely a must take for you right now. But I can absolutely respect and understand if you're someone who's, what, I'm taking a Demon Prince and two Disco Lords and just going full aggro. I get it. There isn't a right way. I just think if you are thinking about how the hell do I write World Eaters right now, start with an Apostle. Look at what the Apostle brings to the table, and then start looking. Oh my God! So he can do this to Terminators. He can do that to Possessed. He can do that to the Disco Lord, and that's going to be, I think, the actual starting point of your army. Now, if you don't want that, if you don't want to go down a Death Star route, or you don't want to go down a more resilient route, you can do other things, 100%. But I think you start with the Apostle and see how he makes you feel, because it brightens my day up. So that was my number one. So come on,
Yeah.
man, top it, top the Apostle.
My top hit is the gorgeous new Possessed
Yeah,
because damn everything about them. Let me just
break it down.
outside of the game for a
Okay,
moment.
all right, all right.
The Possessed have always been like one of the coolest things in my head. As soon as I read the first Heretic, which spoiler alert right now has the Galvor back in it, and the fall of the Serrated Sun Company, Argel Tal's company, I was like, damn, dude, these guys, they go hard. They go so hard. And like the idea of the Neverborn, of these demons like
Mm-hmm.
living inside these Space Marine bodies, of the Space Marines not being able to take their armor off anymore because it's now part of them. Oh, it just did so much for me. And every
Yeah,
time I looked at the possessed models, I was like, God, I hate you so much. You look so bad. Even when I was like quite young and like
yeah,
appreciated Warhammer, in like I wasn't as critical in terms of like assessment of models. Even back then, I was like, God, those guys look stupid as hell.
yes,
Like the glow up is just wow. I'm so excited to get my hands on them. I just seen that Jack has said the pre-order is still not live for the Possessed, so I am heartbroken that they won't be out this week. But
oh
hopefully, come on, come on, give it to
yeah,
us soon. I need it for my list. But yeah, so like outside of the power of the game, Possessed are amazing. The new sculpt is incredible, and I love it so much. Can't wait to get my hands on it. But in the game, damn, they slap so hard and they are so cheap. And I get why they're cheap. They're really limited in what you can put on them. No
yes,
prayers, A lot of stratagems you can't do on them, but there's still a lot of things you can do because of the fact that GW decided to reprint Fate and the Fury for us again. A lot of the stratagems in there are just infantry units or
Yeah.
just world eater units.
Yep.
Like Stoke the Nails is core. Everything
Yeah.
else works on possessed, which means you got your Wild Fury, got your kill main burn, got your auto wounding on hit rolls of sixes. There's a lot of power in all that, right?
Mm,
And they don't even need power. I don't think they
yeah.
don't. You don't need to add stuff onto them a lot of the time. They're just going to go in, and they're just going to pick up because they have so many attacks at good quality.
Hmm.
And to make I was already so hype on the possessed, and then I found out you could put the Black Rune of Damnation on them, and I was just like, "Are you kidding me? Can we actually do that? Can we make a unit this good? Like, is that like the Star Wars meme where it's like, is that legal? Like that
Hmm.
was literally me when I saw the Black Rune of Damnation, and it's like, yeah, cool, -1 to wound, and this 18-inch bubble of pearls on doubles, and it's 18-inch bubble from the unit, not from the character who has the relic.
Hmm.
That
Yep.
bubble is huge. Like effectively on what is for me an 8-man possessed squad, that bubble is covering pretty much the entire important area of the
Yep.
board. If you've got a psyker in the back corner doing like psychic ritual, whatever, I don't care. He's fine over there. But if you want to hurt those possessed, you're going to be in range of purling on a doubles. And I know it doesn't matter for Eldar Farseers, but it matters for everyone else.
Yeah.
I just think there's so much power in them.
But yeah,
And
the perils part is just the bonus. You're taking it for the
right.
-1 to wound. It's
Yeah, because
on
like
T5, yeah.
yeah, the Black Rune is fantastic on Terminators, but they're T4.
Yeah.
The Black Rune is obnoxious on Possessed or Bikers at T5, because as I keep harping on, you are going to need a Strength 10 weapon or higher to wound them on threes. What are you bringing in volume? Tell me what weapon you're bringing that has volume capable of dealing with Possessed at Strength 10.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything in the game. They could. The only thing I see them being really vulnerable to is if someone rocks up with 4 hammerheads and like railguns the shit out of them.
Yeah. That's
And
what
even
does
then, I'm
it,
like,
but
you know what? You want to fire your 4 hammerheads into my like 1 possessed squad for a whole turn and potentially kill them?
yeah.
Like, man, I ran the math. Khorne Lord of Skulls into 8 possessed on his full profile kills 2.5 with the Black Rune of Damnation.
What? Is that
Yeah.
just shooting or shooting?
No. That was combat. That was in combat. In shooting, he can probably pick up a few more because he's damage 3 for
Yeah.
sure. But he's wounding them all on 4s with his shooting because none of his shooting is strength 10 or higher, I believe.
Oh my god, yeah.
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 So like, I'm like, cool. I'll run these guys at nights and they'll live, and most of them will live at that. They're for like, I can't write a list now without putting 8 possessed in it immediately. In the way that you're with the apostle,
Yeah.
and I get that too. But what I think is also, you don't have to put these guys in. Like I could write a list without the possessed. I just don't want to because I love them so much, and I'm so ready for them to be this good. I'm just all about them right now.
I got it, man.
That's my
Yeah.
number 1.
I can't disagree. I don't think there is at the moment a wrong top 5 because every damn entry in this book, short of a couple of things we obviously can't take as world eaters, there isn't anything I haven't looked at and thought, man, how can I make that work? How can I make? I've even tried with the Exalted Champion, who is probably one of our worst options right now. But okay, let's do some honourable mentions. All right, so. Oh God,
I can't wait for the give me one of your honorable mentions, Jamie.
Okay,
Just
alright.
give me.
Okay, so because I think I know what yours is going to be, so I won't steal your thunder.
No. Steal away if you want to.
It's the Master of Executions.
You're goddamn right. It's the Master of Executions.
It
He's
is.
actually my number 1.
He's so damn good. Like, efficiency wise. At first, I was like, oh, okay, he's just mid tier again. Maybe if I've got spare 80 points, I'll throw him in. But then, as a couple people in the Discord, I know Royal Purple and I think Jack as well. I can't remember. I know, and obviously yourself. Some people have been saying, what if we just spend a couple CP on this relic and this Warlord trait, and then comparing him to what the Demon Prince can do? It's like, holy shit, this guy can tear some shit apart.
Yeah, the God Killer builds was the one that I coined.
Yeah.
I'm claiming that one as my
You
own
go for
because
it, man.
the God Killer build is an interesting one. So you have to spend 3 CP. I'm gonna open the Codex because I can't remember what warlord trait I picked for him. But you
Okay.
need to spend 3 CP, so 2 relics is what he's gonna need, and then he's gonna need a warlord trait as well. But the
So
relics you're gonna give him is it the Gorget of Eternal Hatred,
for the
whatever it's
2 up,
called?
4 up, or the +1 save and then 4
Right,
up and then
exactly, yeah.
explodes. Yep.
That is the Gorget of
Yep.
Eternal
So
Hatred, right?
yep.
Yeah.
Oh, Gorget of something. Yeah.
Yeah,
I know the one.
it's
It's two. He'll go to a 2 up, 4 up, and he'll explode.
yeah, the good Gorget, I'm
Yeah.
gonna call it. Anyway, you give him that because that's pretty funny.
Yep.
Because he actually gets an invulnerable save
Yeah.
and he gets 2 up armor, 4 up invul. Cool, so he lives. Then you give him the Berserker Glaive, which has gotten a glow up. It did become more powerful. It's like a better
Yes.
weapon profile overall, but crucially, it also gives him a 5 up feel no pain.
Hmm.
So suddenly, Godkiller Mo is like super survivable. And then I think you want to give him Flames of Spite or Hatred Incarnate.
Yeah.
But I think it's probably Hatred Incarnate because I believe he gets a wound reroll anyway, right? Built in.
Against characters, he rerolls wounds.
Yeah,
And then he's
yeah.
got the 6-inch heroic intervention. And his default weapon does mortal wounds on 6s.
But it won't do that if it's the Berserker
Yeah,
Glaive.
if you swap out to the glaive.
Yeah.
He just gets.
Now, if you don't give him the glaive and give him Flames of Spite, he'll be like Gorefather. He'll do 3 mortals on
Yeah.
6s, which is cool. But if you give him Hatred Incarnate, he gets +1 strength and attack when he charges or whatever, first round of
Yeah.
combat, and can reroll his hit rolls.
Hmm.
To me, that feels like actually genuinely not bad.
Yeah.
You know. Now it is 3 CP. You're only doing it if you're an absolute meme lord and want to go that hard at a tournament with a Mo. But I love the idea of running one in the middle of a berserker squad and like he's kind of like egging them on, like come on, like running in, and then he just fucking goes through the character and gets you those 15 points for skulls for the skull throw.
Yep.
But yeah, for sure, honorable mention Mo. I love him. Like he's so funny, right?
Yeah, he is. It's just so much. It's good that he's actually an option now. Like, I like the fact, even without any CP, I know he's not actually that much different realistically, but his heroic intervention is upgraded, so it's 6 inches all the time now. Previously, it was 6 inches versus characters only. Now it's 6 inches. It's just if it's a character, I think you have to end engaged. It's not
Yeah.
a true perfect 6-inch heroic, but it's better than it was, and he doesn't like re-roll his damage and stuff like that now. But I think he's tasty, and for me, it's if I'm running 3 HQs, I might pick the Mo for a 4th character because my characters are going to be either protected or just impossible to kill. So it's like baiting out assassinate from my opponent, and I'll happily sit the Master of Executions at the back of the field on an objective, surrounded by some cultists or something. I'm happy for that because my opponent's going to think, oh, he's world eaters, he's coming straight up the board. And I'm like, no, you've just given me 10 VP or whatever it amounts to. Because I don't think you kill my Disco Lord. You probably don't kill the Master of Executions because he's hiding. And the Apostles are just going to be eternally surrounded by 10 possessed or 10 red butchers or whatever. So good luck getting in to kill those things. That's kind of my thinking as a tech choice. But I think there's definitely a place for either a souped up Master of Executions or just one for the lols, really. I don't think he's a bad choice at all. So was he your choice as the...
He would have been, but I have a backup.
Okay.
Backup bonus choice, whatever we want to call it. But it's got to be the Chaos Spawn, man.
Yeah.
I'm hype on Spawn in a big way. Like, part of me knows that there will come a day in the not too distant future where I'm going to put 15 Chaos Spawn on the table and I'm not going to feel bad about it.
Yeah.
Not even one little bit.
Oh,
I
God.
might feel bad for my opponents,
Yeah.
but I don't care. Like, I love Spawn now. One thing I really love is like the evolution inside the book, because you've got your cultist, which dies, then you've got your mutant cultist,
Yep.
which sometimes comes back to life, then you've got your tormented, which heals, and then you've got your spawn, which heals really fast.
Yeah.
So it's like an evolution, I feel like the cultist on the ground level, he's like looking at a chaos spawn and he's like, someday I'll be worth 25 points. Someday.
So, look, you saying that just made me think of something. The giant chaos spawn. The I
Yeah,
don't
I'm
know
so
if it's
sad.
Forge World or Demons.
It's
I'm not
Forge
sure.
World,
Forge
yeah. You
World,
can't
yeah.
bring him anymore.
No, but if they re-release or something like that, the giant chaos spawn could be so obnoxious, like
He
so
was
stupid.
already
Yeah, he was
obnoxious.
good.
That guy could like go past his initial wounds level.
Yeah,
He could gain Titanic.
yeah,
He had a rule where he gained the Titanic keyword if he got enough wounds.
yeah,
Amazing.
yeah.
Amazing. But yeah, the spawn, like genuinely as a tech choice again, like as a tar pitter, where it's like
Mm,
you bring 5 of them, you rush them into the middle along with everything else, and you use them to tar pit a unit of like reasonably tough infantry or a
yeah.
vehicle or something like that, they're not getting out of that tar pit for definitely one
Probably
turn,
two. Yeah.
probably two, you know? And it's cheap, it's very efficient for what it does. If you want to just lob 5 spawn, like, if you've got one of those ring objectives
Mm-hmm.
and you want to lob the 5 spawn in a border around it, they can close off that objective
Yeah.
from everyone else. They
Yeah.
can make sure that there's no one getting in there. I think there's a lot of tech choice in bringing 5 spawn
Yeah.
for what, like
125.
125
Yep.
points? Ridiculously cheap and efficient for that many wounds that regen every time you shoot them and don't kill one. What an amazing set of rules,
Yeah.
And genuinely not terrible in combat.
No, they're not. They're pretty tasty, and it's not broken because they can't absorb or they can't take basically any buffs that I can think of. Certainly not from us.
Not from anyone because they don't have Demonkin either, I believe.
Okay, so yeah, no one's
Yeah.
really helped, and that just means your opponent has a hard choice. They're not unkillable, but it's like, oh, I've got 2 bolt guns I can fire. It's not worth even rolling the dice against the spawn because they just come regenerate or what, things like that. But yeah, I think that covers the basis of we covered several units in our top fives, and the Mo and the Spawn are definitely strong contenders for that could have been on that list and very easily could have been for any or should be for some other people here. But I think that wraps it up for now, mate. I think we've covered enough.
Yeah,
'Cause,
absolutely.
we're definitely going to be revisiting this in a month or two for sure. As more lists get out there, more games get played, we're going to see where the lay of the land is. But yeah. All right, I'm going to close this out. And thanks everyone for watching. Appreciate you clicking on. Do want to say, please join the Discord. Say it every video, but we love to get people in the Discord because this is where all this craziness comes from, quite frankly. And if you are purchasing any stuff in the UK, check out our affiliate link for 11 Games.
Yeah, and do all the
Shields.
other stuff that content creators say, like how does it go? Like, comment, and subscribe. Yeah,
all that
yeah,
stuff.
do that shit.
Yeah. But yeah, all right, everyone. Thanks for watching, and until next time, stay healthy, stay safe, and kill main button.